Our last review of the day is going to be for the film, But I'm a Cheerleader. But I'm a Cheerleader was a film that came out in 1999. So it's actually its 25th year anniversary. Is
Mhm.
this movie? Wow. Okay. Yeah. So 25th anniversary of this movie. It's directed by Jamie Babbitt, who directed this. I've heard much about this movie. This movie is kind of somewhat of, I guess you would say, a cult classic. I guess
Yep.
you could say in a lot of aspects.
Most queer movies have become cult classics because, a lot has changed in 25 years.
Mm, yeah. I don't, yeah, I mean, you're probably too young to kind of remember about the reaction of when this movie kind of came out in 1999.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was I was like 6.
yeah, so you're probably way too young there. Have you read any history on the movie as far as, what people thought about it at that time?
Well, the one complaint that it was mostly from critics is that, "Oh, it was like a knockoff of, like, a John Waters film because you have Meek Pearl playing the mom and, or, well, Meek Stoll, like, playing the mom." But I'm like, I feel like a film like this was kind of ahead of its time.
Mm,
And
okay.
I feel and, like, a lot of again, like, this was at a time where conversion therapy was still a huge thing happening amongst LGBTQ youth, and we learned about what goes on at those places. I mean, it's people still have camps open like that, unfortunately. And so, a little known fact was Clea Duvall, who plays Graham, Natasha Lyonne's love interest in this film. She was closeted. She came out as a lesbian a few years ago, and so she really was dealing with a lot personally when she was filming this movie. And it's interesting that this film didn't really necessarily give her the courage to come out at a time where maybe like more people in the community would need someone to look at up to as like a lesbian icon, because when you got to think about it, Ellen had come out in like 97, I believe.
Mm, yeah. Clea Duvall. People might have said she was in that movie, The Faculty,
Yeah.
with Josh Hartnett. She was in that movie. And she is out now. There she has a partner now, everything like that.
Mhm.
Natasha Lyonne, I think she's kind of kept it not really specified as far as she has or
I mean, I think she has dated men, but like she's also considered like a queer icon just because of like her big acceptance in the LGBT community, doing this movie, doing playing like in Orange Is the New Black. Um, but yeah, also too, a friend of mine is in this movie.
okay. Be interesting.
Wesley Mann, who plays one of the gay couple.
Oh, you said Leslie, you said Wesley
Wesley
Mann?
Mann, yeah,
Okay, let me see if I can find a picture of Wesley Mann
he
there.
has a very very recognizable face. He's a
Oh,
character.
okay.
He's a character actor. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Um,
yes. This actor, yeah, you see him in the movie. He's the one that runs the not conversion camp. He runs the kind of
yep,
acceptance camp for the kids to kind of come through there. And
yeah.
his partner is also somebody I've seen before as well. I think he's another.
Yes, he recently passed away. That actor. He was known for playing like in Night Court,
Mm.
and he also voiced I forgot what's his name. He voiced Two Face in Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Very nice there.
Yeah.
Um,
He was really tall. He's almost like 7 feet tall.
wow. Let's
Yeah.
yeah, I'll find his name real quick there. But yeah, I mean, also when you look at this cast, I mean, it's kind of an interesting cast of people here.
But yeah, Melanie was in, like it's a whole like a very star-studded cast. Like
Yeah.
RuPaul's in this. When I was like, when I saw RuPaul without drag, I was like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, RuPaul is in this. He plays the counselor at the conversion kind of camp there.
yeah.
You also have Melanie Linsky who's in this, who
And
she's been.
she's using her original like New Zealand like her original accent. Like she wasn't doing like an American accent for this.
Yeah, people might have seen her recently. She's in the show called Yellow Jackets.
Yep.
She was in Fargo, the very first season of the anthology series. There, she was
And
in that.
Mrs. America, which is about Phyllis Schlafly and the ERA. That was a really good show too on
Yeah.
Hulu and FX.
Yeah, so she's popped up a lot recently in a lot of various kind of different things. We mentioned Clea Duvall there, who's also in this. We also if you're a fan of Avatar: Last Airbender, Dante Brasco is in this. Zuko is in this.
Mhm.
Rufio is in this as well. He plays one of the characters there at the camp.
Kathy Moreta, she's in this too, and we all know for her eight straight up modeling, 18 years old, playing Jake LaMotta's, wife in Raging Bull.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of a yeah, who's who kind of in this movie. The guy's like, oh wait, this person's in the movie. Oh, Michelle Williams, a very young Michelle Williams.
This
It,
might have been her film debut.
yeah, let me see if it is her film movie. Yeah, but she's kind of got that. I guess she always rocked that short hair. I've never seen Michelle Williams with long hair ever. It's
Oh, yeah,
always the short kind of bowl cut there.
yeah.
But let me pull up a picture of her in the movie. But yeah, very very young Michelle Williams that you have here. Yeah, let me see. Here's her, and she's one of the cheerleaders. In the
Yep. She's basically in the first like 2 minutes of the movie, but like, but when I was like, "Where's Michelle Williams?" when I saw it the first time.
Yeah, yeah, I see her there as well. So yeah, kind of a yeah, nice kind of stacked cast there. It's like when you watch, when you saw Scott Pilgrim for the first time, and now you go back and look, it's like, damn, this person was in
Yes.
it. This person was in here. It's like, wow, they've all had really great careers so far.
Yep, Aubrey
Yeah,
Plaza, Brie Larson, like it's a whole like Kieran Cole. I'm like, damn, look where they all have come from. Like they've come so far.
yeah. So, but I'm a cheerleader. So, what is this? You kind of talked about a little bit about it. So, what is this movie about? So, but
Yeah.
I'm a cheerleader. You have this young girl played by Natasha Lyonne, Megan, and she's a cheerleader. There, and she's trying to, she's, on the cheer squad. It's one of the best things, in her life right there. She lives the all American life. She's a
Yep.
cheerleader. She's dating a football player.
Christian girl.
Christian girl there coming up, and the kind of people around her, her friends, her boyfriend, her family start noticing something's kind of maybe off about her. And it's like, well, we think you're a lesbian. We think you're gay. I mean, you see like you kind of hug the girls in the cheer squad a little too long. You look at like
Mhm.
there's a scene of her locker where she's got a picture of a girl on there. When she
Yep.
kisses her boyfriend, you saw it in the trailer, like she's just basically just
Not
mouth is just
feeling it.
open.
Yeah,
Um,
she ain't feeling it.
you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you probably get more action kissing a dog probably, than that
Mhm.
there. So you have that. Um, and she's like, "No, no, 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 I'm not a lesbian." They try to do the intervention and they sit her down.
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, no, I love my boyfriend. I love everything about this. It's like I'm not a lesbian." And then she starts she's having that kind of moment there, she's sitting in the chair, she starts thinking about all the
I'm a
ass.
homosexual. I'm a homosexual.
Yeah, she's a homosexual there, as you can
I just
see.
love her. She's like,
Actually, let me see if I can yeah, find that clip there. She kind of goes googly eyed there
I
with the
know it's so good because the people that Natasha Lyonne has a very expressive face. So it like when I saw I was laughing. I'm like, oh my god, it's the realization, like the light bulb moment for her.
yeah,
It's so
especially
funny.
when she starts like in her head daydreaming about all the
Ah!
different girls there.
This dick I've never seen.
Well, have you ever had sex with him?
I'm a Christian.
It's really easy to be a prude when you're not attracted to him, isn't it?
Yeah, but Christians have to be virgins. You don't.
But does he
Aha.
make you hot? I mean, do you think of him at night when you...
I'm not perverted. I get good grades. I go to church. I'm a cheerleader. I'm not like all of you. Everyone reads Cosmo. Everyone looks at other girls all the time.
But you only assume that they're thinking what you're
And
thinking.
young
when you
Dante
look.
Brasco you have
But they're
here.
not.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Everybody had those thoughts.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
yeah.
that was me when I realized that I was bisexual. I was like, it's a lot of girls. Like I was very clingy with all my friends who were girls because I always had a trouble like maintaining friendship. And so like a lot of my friends were like, "You're a lesbian," and I'm like, "No, I'm attracted to men though." They're like, "Yeah, but do you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean." Well, then I was like, they're like, well, you probably like both, and I noticed that even when I was very, very young, like even like prepubescent, I would like look at the older girls at the family at like the town like water park, and I would also look at like teenage like and then as I was older, I always thought that there was gay and straight. I didn't think you could be attracted to both genders. But then when I was doing more research as I got older, I was like, oh,
Mm.
both you could like both genders too. Okay, that's what I am. Like,
Oh, and it cut off during the good moment. So here's the moment where she actually says
yeah.
homosexual.
I'm a homosexual.
Graham's
I'm a homosexual. I'm a homosexual.
like, I'm gonna get that.
Congratulations, Megan. You have just taken your first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, these conversion camps, do still really go on today. People still go to them. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly all the things that kind of go on. Do you know kind of the things that kind of happen at a conversion camp?
Yeah, they actually like, but I'm a cheerleader toned down like a lot. Like they do want to do like shock stuff. They force the teenagers to like watch gay pornography, and if they do get aroused or like they do like electroshock on them, like that's one of like the main things that they do to try to like get them to be straight. Like they just use like the little zapper, like with that one girl if she's having impure thoughts or whatever. Or making them smell things that are very distasteful. Like it's and trying to put, like, I know for some they put the lesbians and the gays, like the boys and girls together, so that the girls don't like associate with each other and the boys don't associate with each other, because they really think that they're putting all the boys together and the girls together. It's not. No, it's not gonna. They would think it's not gonna work that way. You gotta hook up the teenagers of the opposite sex together in order to try to achieve some type of heteronormative simulation. Yeah, as Ellie pointed out, they believe in Pavlovian psychology, which is complete nonsense. Yeah. It works on dogs to get them to drool. It doesn't work on humans.
Yeah, associate with something bad, so you can have a repulsive reaction to it, and something like that.
Yeah.
And this movie's very short. It's only an hour and like 35 minutes. Very short movie. It doesn't take long for them to go like, okay, yeah, you're gay. We're sending you away to the camp. You're going.
Yeah. The
So-
pacing's very good.
yeah, so they do the whole intervention. They tell her you're going to be going, and the place she goes to is called Turning Directions, or
True Directions.
True Directions,
Which
True
I
Directions.
thought was funny because the Glee Club in Glee is called New Directions, and I was like, huh.
Wonder if that's a reference there.
Yeah.
So she goes to True Directions there. That's when she kind of meets everybody. She kind of gets, with everybody, which I don't understand why the girls sleep together. I think I don't know why they
That's
have
what
that.
that's what I don't understand. They should be having individual like rooms or something. Like they can't, like, this is the problem with these conversion camps. They really think that, oh, let's just put the girls together, and also the girls and the boys need to bond with a friend within their group. I'm like, they're gonna get closer as like gay and lesbians, they're gonna get closer to the same sex.
Yeah. So I don't know why they're all they sleep all in the same room together. Seems like the opposite of what you'd be trying to do.
Because that what the goth girl kept,
Yeah.
she kept playing with herself and electrocuting herself because she's looking at the other girls, and I'm like, this is not working out the way it should. Clearly.
And each of them has been there, much longer than Megan. So she's kind of the new person. She's the new person coming in. Each of them has their own little story of, kind of why they're there and kind of their experience, how they got caught, and then how they got kind of brought to the camp. There's even a moment where their families come. They have family day, family therapy.
Yeah.
With Clea
Like-
Duvall's character. Oh, go ahead.
And it's funny too because the head, Kathy's character, she's like, she's trying to, like, Megan's trying to explain like what could have been the issue, like her mom taking on the role of her dad, and she's like basically filling in gaps that make no sense, because it seems like Megan never had a reason, like some traumatic reason to be a lesbian. She's just, maybe it was something that just became natural to her as she got older. Like, it's not something that triggered her to make her gay. Like, it's almost as if the other kids were just explaining why they were gay, and it's like, oh, my parents did this, oh, someone did this to me. Like, it doesn't always work that way for why people end up being part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah. And so you may ask, so what do they do, while they're there, besides, we talked about they do kind of the therapy sessions there, but also they will do things like where they kind of reaffirm basic gender kind of roles there. They'll do the things where,
Yeah.
the women will do the cooking, cleaning, changing diapers. They'll do that, and then you'll see the scenes where the guys, they'll do typical guy stuff. They'll play the sports, you know what I mean?
And
Um,
those guys, and it's funny too because you you can tell, so like people like RuPaul who play like an ex-gay, clearly, you can tell that they're not comfortable because even RuPaul's character is looking at the woman's son, who's very flamboyantly gay, and yet she's like telling him to be, straight. You have to set an example, but even he's checking her son out when he can, and it just looks so unnatural for like these characters to try to just stick into these heteronormative like roles that they clearly don't belong in. These like gender norms, like it doesn't fit them.
yeah. And with this character, you remember her name there or their name maybe?
I don't remember, but they said that they're a girl who likes guys, but and that's a thing about femininity. Not every femme presenting woman is going to be into men, but you might see some women who are more masculine, perhaps, who like short hair, tomboys essentially, be attracted to men. And I don't think we really got enough of this character explored because I would have wanted to learn more about like, what was, this character's deal. Like they were admitting, yes, I am actually a straight person. I'm a straight woman. What and they're like, no, you're not. You're not. Like, no, this person was probably, a tomboy who didn't fit into like, feminine gender norms, got sent to this camp, you know, being told that this person was gay, but they're not.
Yeah. Jan was the character, so Jan was their
Jan,
name.
yes.
And it seems like, I don't know, maybe she could be maybe more, uh, stud maybe, kinda a little
Yeah.
bit there, kinda that's kind of a term for more, lesbian women, so I don't know, like, she said she
Yeah.
likes guys,
Yeah. Or
um
like someone who's just maybe non-binary, but that was not really a thing back then too.
yeah, so it's, kind of impressive they have that kind of with that character in 1999, they have kinda something like that, a character like that there, but yeah, you see them, they're doing the makeup, they're doing the traditional thing, and then you also see, like, this movie's very much camp. You see
Yes.
kinda the jokes here, you see kind of even the rooms that they're in, how colorful it is, the pinks,
This
the
the
blues, the
yes,
purples.
the set design, the production design of this is very, very phenomenal, very old, very John Waters-esque with like the bright use of colors, very the aesthetics is very old school. Yes, it's almost it kind of almost reminded me of like Barbie in some cases.
Yeah, that's a good kinda comparison, now set design, the clearly homoerotic stuff, like, you see this,
Yeah.
even when you saw when they were working on the car, like, the wrench and bolts there
That
were
does not look like a penis whatsoever.
you kinda had that, like, let me see, you kinda see a little bit of the background here where they're kinda working on the car where you
Yeah, they're
kinda,
like,
like,
"Mm."
you know what I mean? You have a lot of that kinda going on. But yeah, I mean, so you kinda have a lot of that kind of also the visual stuff kinda going on. Ellie Fry Comment says, just visually almost looks like Legally Blonde. There you also kinda have that as well kinda going on, with it as well. Very
Yeah.
funny movie, I would say also, but I'm a cheerleader. Very funny,
Yeah.
a lot of its humor there. And Jamie Babbitt, I mean, she's kinda done movies somewhat recently. She did a movie called The Stand-In, which is from 2020, but I don't think anything has been so far as good as pretty much this is from, when I'm looking
Yeah.
at her filmography there. I don't know, sometimes directors, they have kind of a, voice to say maybe with something there, maybe once, and then, yeah, they don't really have much to say anyway there. This was written by Brian Wayne Peterson, and this was the only film that I see that he kinda wrote there.
Oh, wow.
He's
One
done
and
some
done.
television, he's done things like Beauty and the Beast and Genius, Hot Zone, Political Animals,
Oh, political
Salem,
animals. Hmm.
Smallville, Under the Dome. He's done some stuff like that, but, yeah, this was only a film he's written.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
when did you see this movie for the first time?
I saw this movie when I was a teenager, honestly, because again, like I was, I was a huge, I think I was in my late teens, early 20s, I think. because of like Orange is the New Black, I was like, ooh, I was just loving Natasha Lyonne's character in that show. And so it got me into like her work. And so this was like everyone's like, well, the first thing you should watch of hers is But I'm a Cheerleader. It's really good. And so I did. And I felt I just loved it. I just love camp. I'm a big fan of like campy movies, the aesthetics, the humor. It was just, to me, I was like, this is like a good like queer movie.
Yeah. So this was my first time ever seeing it. A few days ago, I'd heard a lot about it. And then finally seeing it, I was like, okay, I can see why this is well remembered, as it is. Just being impressed by, first of all, the cast of like, oh, this person and this person's in it. It's like, I didn't know that. Just being
Yeah.
impressed by that. Being impressed by the camp of it, the humor of it, the visual style of it, was also very impressive, and the dynamic, to see kind of this also burgeoning kind of coming of age story that you also have here between the characters of Megan and then Clea Duvall's character Graham,
Yeah.
and seeing kind of that kind of relationship kind of going on there,
Yeah.
which was
I like the scene where they go to that club.
that's a
Like
great scene too. Yeah,
it shows it's like, these kids, they're not going to be fixed if they're out having fun being who they are. Like what's going to happen to them when they graduate? Like they're not going to follow this lifestyle that's being forced onto them. With they still want to live who they want, because Megan at first was like, I can't do this, I'm doing really well in this program, but Graham's like, just live a little, and they all do. They're all like, even the one kid's like, with the feather boa, like going nuts and just like, expressing himself. I'm like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, these kids, if they're not going to survive, because their parents are going to write them off if they go back to being gay, because that's like a thing, I guess. So, this really showed that these kids were not going to make it through like this program. Like they could fake it all they want, but this is not who they are.
yeah. And this is the bar scene right there. What's the name of the bar? The cocksuckers, right, or something? Or that's the name of it.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, name of the bar. So yeah, they, kind of break out of the place and they kind of go out there to have a night on the town. And there's a
They-
lot for these people to lose if they don't finish this program. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause they're like, Megan's parents and Tasha Leon just straight up tells them, if you fail this, we're not gonna let you back home. I mean, you're gonna
Yeah.
be out on your own. And to think like this girl, I think she's only supposed to be 16, 17.
17, like not even 18. Like, what are you doing, parents? Like even Graham's like fathers, like, you're not, you do want to, your mother left, you want to disappoint me too. It's like, Jesus. Like it also too, Graham's parents, like her father and stepmother, very rich family.
Yeah.
Very rich family from the look of them. And I'm like,
Yeah, because that's the thing
I
that
don't
they
like this.
threaten her with, is that you can't get your inheritance or the trust fund, or we won't
Yep.
pay for your stuff if you don't finish this program, if you don't do
Yep.
this. So yeah, that's kind of something on the line for all these kind of people there, of the threat of not being able to come home, live. You know what I mean? And that's scary. You know what I mean? You're a kid, just completely being independent out in the street at 17, 16 years old. No support system there for
Yeah.
you. So you kind of see that there.
That's why
Uh,
we have that older, the XX gay couple. They have like a little house, like they have room and board for these, for LGBTQ kids, which is good because a lot of them, are gonna not have any support from their parents. So, because that's that's happened to the one kid who got kicked out. He went right to, the married gay men. And so, at least they had somewhere to go.
Yeah. And it was nice seeing them, with Wesley Mann, and then Richard Mole,
Yeah.
is the other person who's a part of that kind of dynamic there as well. And there's a moment where they both just fight. They just
Yeah.
fight like a regular kind of couple there. So it's not all peachy keen there.
Yeah.
There are
Like
moments.
it's not perverted nonsense. Like they have gay couples have regular, like, like that's the one thing, like the argument for gay marriage is like, just let if they want to be miserable and eventually get divorced like everyone else, so be it. Like that's always some of the argument for people who couldn't give two shits about marriage equality. So it's like, it's good to see, gay couples, being normalized in a way that's like they're normal, they fight, they bicker. I mean, there was a movie with Luke Evans and Billy Porter recently, and they played a divorced couple, a divorced couple who had a son. Like, you don't really see a lot of stories of LGBT couples who are divorced or who are struggling through a marriage or through a conflict.
Another friend, Conrad says, yeah, gay couples are just as annoying as straight couples there. Yeah.
True.
I mean, they deal with, all the same issues there, all the same problems.
Insurance, bills, healthcare, it's all the same. Like,
Yeah. And you see that moment, with when she's kind of looking at that kind of dynamic, Megan, and then also Dante Brasco's character, Dolph there, where they're just both looking, it's like, holy shit, this is like mom and dad. It's like, you know what I mean? Like so much of
yeah.
this of trying to do these basic people fit into these box of gender kind of conformity there. And it's like, hey, it's just like, hey, people fit into certain roles and then other people don't fit into certain roles there. As you see. Do you think there's any weakness with this movie at all?
I honestly, the only thing is that it could have pushed the boundaries of how horrific those conversion camps are. Because I know they put the one kid in the doghouse for like solitary confinement for a week, but like I feel like they didn't really do enough to really push the Pavlovian, But again, it was the 90s. Like still, like a lot of stuff wasn't. You couldn't remake this movie because the boundaries have already been pushed. It's like when Green Book won Best Picture, like it was very like if Green Book had come out in the 90s, it would have been a revolutionary film about like racism. But that film coming out like 2019 and winning the Oscar, a lot of people were like, "What? That makes no sense whatsoever." Like we've been there, done that situation.
Yeah. And a lot of what these kids are working up towards is what they call it, the coronation, right? Or
Yeah.
like so basically they have to do this test where it's like this weird thing where the headmaster
Sexual simulation, like an Adam and Eve type thing, and I'm like,
yeah.
stay away, like protect the kids, okay? Like that's what I'm like, y'all want to protect the kids, but y'all forcing them into doing like simulated sex, like what the hell? Like when I watched it, I was like, what?
And this is it right here where she kind of directs them and they're wearing these like an Adam and Eve
Nice,
thing.
Robbie. Now feel
Yeah, like those
slow,
like new flesh colored like jumpsuits are like
Now
Which I don't know if isn't he supposed to be like a full grown adult, her son, and then these
yeah. I wonder about her character. I wonder if she was always a lesbian, but you know how like I think like her character might be like a late in life gay, which happens sometimes for people. They have a heteronormative marriage, they punch out a few kids, they realize that they were gay, and but this woman's probably closeted.
yeah. And this is the argument they kind of have here between them, which was
Yeah. I
I'm
love
just
Wesley.
asking a simple question. I'm not interrogating her.
Into that aggressive space again.
Can I even ask a question around here?
Now I feel you moving into your victim stance. I was not attacking. I was verbalizing.
I just feel like you don't value my opinion anymore.
R.I.P.
Seems like nothing I
he
do
passed
pleases you.
away actually last year.
Yeah, late last year. I was like, what?
80 years old.
I love my Larry Bear.
Oh,
Lloyd's sorry.
Larry Bear's sorry too.
he's like a foot taller than like a foot or two taller than everyone. Like, because he's like almost 8 feet tall.
Then. Dinner's ready.
Yeah, like a lot of people recognize Wesley Mann as like the principal and teacher who spat a lot on That's So Raven. But for me, I recognize Wesley, and this is how I connected with him. He was known as playing the caterpillar in a Disney show called Adventures in Wonderland, which was based off of Alice in Wonderland. It was an educational program. I'm friends with the whole cast because the guy who played the Mad Hatter is the creator of Only Murders in the Building. So John Hoffman, I have a connection to like Meryl Streep, Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez at this point. It's kind of cool, but like because Wesley has a very distinctive face. And he talks about this all the time when he gets interviewed because he was also in the Back to the Future, one of the Back to the Future movies as well. So he has a prolific career as a character actor. And so when I watched it for the first time when I was younger, I was like, I know that face. I know this guy. I've seen he's a that guy actor. That's what we like people like there are people there are characters, there are actors who are like a that guy actor or that girl actress. and he fits the bill. But for Richard Mole, a lot of boomers and Gen Xers know him from like Night Court.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, great character actor. Both of them are. Yeah, I mean, this was a great to see this film
Mhm.
and kind of harkening back to a lot of this and like this coming of age story. And do you see its kind of influence played out in modern cinema today? Because do you know the movie that I got recommended? Because I watched this on Amazon Prime. Do you know the movie I got recommended after I saw this movie?
Mm.
It'd be interesting if you can guess it. It's a movie that came out last year.
Oh, is that the one with like Kristen Stewart?
No, not the one.
No. Let me try to think. Trying to think. What is it?
It is this movie, Bottoms.
Oh yes.
And when this movie came out, I heard some kind of people say like it has kind of a "But I'm a Cheerleader" type kind of vibes to it. You
Mhm.
also get kind of vibes of things like Mean Girls in it as
Yes.
well, Superbad, as well there. Um,
Mhm.
so do you kind of see like have you seen this movie before?
Yeah, I have.
And do you think it kinda like, "But I'm a Cheerleader," kind of the DNA of something like that, or kinda some of the things kind of has carried over into kinda more modern LGBTQ cinema, something like Bottoms, you think?
Yeah, and also you might think about Glee, for instance, because Santana and Brittany.
Mm, oh,
Santana and Brittany's whole thing was like started like in like season one, like the sectionals episode, because they were talking about like sex and dating, and Brittany's like, sex we're dating, and then Santana and I would be dating, and everyone's like, they 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 have sexual relations with each other. And so a lot of like lesbian like media was like, oh my god, Britannia, this is a thing, lesbian cheerleaders, it's giving But I'm a Cheerleader. And this storyline involving Santana actually helped me come to terms with my bisexuality by senior in high school in season 3. That's when she finally comes out to like the Glee Club and her abuela, and so a word she well technically she gets outed in the in season 3.
and rest in
But
peace to her as well, she passed
I
away.
know,
Uh,
Naya.
I think that was a couple years ago, a few
Yeah,
years
2020 something. It was like when COVID, and I was sad. I was devastated. I was crying for weeks because I was a huge Gleek,
yeah,
and yeah, but I was like, maybe there's some inspiration. Gleekers. Um, yeah, definitely. That's exactly what happened. But I could see some of and if you pay attention, Graham kind of pokes fun at Megan for being a cheerleader.
yeah,
She makes little jokes here and there. And so at the end, Megan does that little cheer for Graham, and that, convinces Graham to, run away with her, which is kind of cute because a lot of people are like, why is this movie called But I'm a Cheerleader? Because she always reiterates like I am the stereotypical girl, teenage girl. I'm a cheerleader. I'm a Christian girl. I'm a virgin. I'm pure. I don't do anything wrong. I get good grades. And so, you know, the movie comes full circle when she does this cheer, because if you remember in the beginning, she was trying to come up with a cheer, like a poem, like a song, that she was struggling with the lyrics, and this is what she comes up with in the end.
yeah. Let's see.
Graham. One, two, three, four. I won't take no anymore. 5, 6, 7, 8. I want you to be my mate. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're the one that I adore. 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't run from me, 'cause this is fate.
It's like the Labrador Retriever and like the grumpy, like the cat,
The black cat, yeah.
yeah, like because Graham's like, and she's like, it's like they're like the perfect like couple in that sense, because she's just a small little baby girl, and then Graham's like,
Yeah.
like perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I think Natasha Lyonne really excels in this movie at kind of playing that and playing this role there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I definitely, this movie we talked about it being a cult classic. I think you kind of see that kind of played out there. What do you think about LGBTQ cinema today? What do you think of it today compared to 1999 around that era, the 90s?
Well, I'll be honest, as someone as our movie night extravaganza, we do a Pride Month now. It's like it's not like a queer cinema spectacular. We called it Big Gay June, but like Conan hated it, and we're like, okay, we'll come up with something different. But like the last year we covered like I think it was like Dog Day Afternoon, which is like an LGBTQ film that people don't realize it is. It was kind of all over the place, like a lot of like few, but within the last like 10 years, we covered quite a few films. We covered The Favorite, we covered Call Me by Your Name, we covered Tangerine. Within like the last like decade, there's been a swelling of like LGBTQ stories, films that have come out. And it seems like we're finally getting to a place where a lot of the movies are becoming more mainstream and more accepted. But it also makes us look back at other movies that were not as popular, that were critically panned or overlooked, even like this film, which are now considered a cult classic.
Yeah. I know you had one recently, and you did have that movie. Do you remember that movie Bros that came out?
Yeah.
And I know this movie bombed in theaters. This is the movie that Billy Eichner made there. And I liked it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was good. But I know that
Yeah.
he came out and said, like, well, this movie failed because people don't want to see LGBTQ movies.
I remember that.
Then that was part of it. Which I mean, I don't think that was necessarily the reason. I think it was just because, like, I mean, the cast in itself, there's no real big star here in this movie.
Yeah, the execution just wasn't there.
Yeah. Which I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of like a LGBTQ film that has like a huge box office return. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, well, Call Me by Your Name probably, but that's because Timothy Chalamet had like 3 other movies coming out within like a year. So people were keeping an eye on him because he's like Gen Z's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that's a good way
And
to
also too, The Favorite did okay. I mean, it was like Emma Stone and Yorgos Lanthimos' first collab, and it was basically like a lesbian, love triangle, or more like a power grab, if you will. If The Rent movie musical was a success, it probably would have been, but everyone who was supposed to be in their 20s was being played by the original cast, who were well into their 30s, except for Rosario Dawson, who was like 24 or 25 at the time.
Yeah. I'm looking at some. I mean, number one here is Bohemian Rhapsody, because of course Freddie Mercury is, but I think a lot of that is
Bisexual king.
Yeah, Queen, and obviously Queen being the most popular band of all time there. And
Also, Bicycle Race is actually about Freddie Mercury's bisexuality.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor, Brian. Like
Nice. So yeah, I mean, sometimes a lot of LGBTQ films are kind of smaller budget, so they're not like a big
or even Rocket Man, the biopic about Elton John. A lot of people said that it was the first like sex scene between 2 men in a movie, and I'm like, really? We haven't had a sex scene between 2 men in a movie? That movie came out in 2019. What?
I was like, Brokeback Mountain way before that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it was like very very raunchy and graphic and like full blown nudity. Because I think what happens in like Brokeback Mountain is that a lot of that stuff was like implied, I guess. But but Brokeback Mountain, that movie should have won Best Picture. Even the guy who directed Crash was like, yeah, Brokeback Mountain probably should have won that year, and not my movie about racism or whatever. That would have been a hit in 1995, but 2005, not so much.
But don't want to stray too far from our movie here, But I'm a Cheerleader. So what are your final thoughts and rating for But I'm a Cheerleader?
Honestly, I give it 11 out of 10. It's a phenomenal film in my opinion. It's camp, cult classic, a good satirical take on like what conversion therapy is all about. There's not very many films, I think, that delve into like conversion therapy when it comes to LGBTQ folks. There's a lot of ramblings about the ex-gay or the ex-gay movement, and this film kind of falls into that, obviously. Maybe making more conversation about it. The cast is phenomenal. The writing, the pacing, the character development is phenomenal. I highly recommend this. If you're like someone who likes to watch like LGBTQ movies during Pride Month, this should be one of the first films that you actually should watch.
Yeah. My first time seeing it, yeah, I was very impressed by it, for all the things Christina mentioned, for the writing of it, for the humor of it, from the great cast of having these kind of different actors. Oh, this person is in it, this person's in it. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? That kind of was the thing. Some people are still working in Hollywood today that you kind of see them in various different things.
Mhm.
I do love the kind of this coming of age love story between Megan and between Graham. I think is very good. The
Mhm.
look of the movie is also visually very impressive. Like they're in this, like you said, very kind of Barbie-esque kind of house there where you have the pink and the blue, like pink is for girls and blue is for boys there. You see that kind of line down the middle there, trying to go back to almost, that old school birth type of thing of like boys and
Mhm.
girls. And you see that there in it. This is definitely a movie people should check out if they want to anytime. And I think it is that wonderful there.
Mhm.
And you do see the DNA of its films very much in, kind of modern LGBTQ films, as we mentioned, like with movies like Bottoms or something like that. I think you kind of see a little bit of that. So for me, I would give it a peak. I'm giving very much a peak, which it would be, yeah, like a kind of like 8, 9 out of 10 there on our scale. And then with Christina, because she gave it 11 out of 10, that would be like a this is cinema on our scale, which is the highest
Cinema, baby.
yeah, that our rating there. But yeah, so this is cinema for Christina there for But I'm a Cheerleader, and a peak for me there with the movie. Very impressive. Um, so that was But I'm a Cheerleader. Thank you so much, Christina, for coming by